CBS Atlanta News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Even before the fireworks ever started, many of you were probably thinking about your New Year's resolutions. Quit smoking, lose weight, pay off your credit cards. Yeah, the new year is a fresh start, but how do you stick to those goals and see them through? Good Sunday morning to you and happy 2012. I'm Brandon Rudat. Every year, many of us make those resolutions, but the reality is fewer than half the people who make goals are sticking to them by the time summer rolls around. One of the most popular resolutions, of course, eating healthier, getting fit, and losing weight. And while losing 50 or 60 pounds can seem daunting, you can do it. Jackie Oleski is a registered dietitian with Piedmont Hospital. She joins us this morning. Jackie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I bet you if we asked our viewers right now this morning how many of them already broke their resolutions, a lot of them would probably be saying, I have already broken my resolution, and we're only about a week in. One of the biggest things people talk about, right? Biggest New Year's resolution, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. How do people go about losing weight in a healthy way?
Well, the first thing you need to do is make a commitment to make changes. All of us can follow a diet plan that says do this, 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 and this, and we can do that for a short period of time. But we need to make that commitment to make long-term changes.
Okay. Eating healthier rather than just, okay, I'm not going to eat that slice of cake. Okay, I'm not going to have that. It's not necessarily about less food intake, right? It's about what you're intaking.
Well, a little bit of both. Bottom line is calories count. So how many calories you had at the end of the day and how many you've burned does make a difference. That's how we gain weight. We eat more calories than we burn. But it doesn't mean you have to give up everything. The focus should be on eating healthy, getting those good foods in, but there's always room for all kinds of foods to make us happy.
Okay, a lot of people snack throughout the day. What do you tell to those people who love just to be snacking the whole day? Even if they're at their computer desk, they're on the run.
Grazing adds up to lots of extra calories. We can eat foods and not even realize that we're eating them. So, you know, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here can add up to hundreds of calories by the end of the day. And remember, too many calories equals extra pounds.
That's right. And for somebody like me, sometimes I want to gain weight. And I exercise about 2 hours a day. And in order for me to gain weight, I have to be eating more calories than I'm burning in my 2-hour workout, right? So the same thing goes with losing weight. If you want to lose weight, you've got to be burning more calories than you're taking in.
Exactly.
What about those people who are constantly on the run and they're eating fast food?
Yeah.
What's a way to get away? What's a way to get around that?
Having a plan. Having a plan for what you're going to do. My recommendation is take one day out of every week and make a plan for what you're going to eat for that following week. Sticking to the plan helps us to achieve our goals. If we are driving home from work and we say, gee, you know,
that Chick-fil-A sandwich looks really good.
You know, what am I going to have? I have nothing at home to fix. So you just turn in somewhere, take out, or fast food, either one. And generally, number one, you're not going to eat healthy, and number two, you're going to get lots of extra calories from those kinds of food.
All right, and this is a place where I have really tried to make a change too. Sodas. Even those sodas, you know, you have your Coke Zeros out there and all those things. Just getting rid of soda. For me, it took about a month, and I noticed a huge difference.
Absolutely. What we put in our body makes a difference on how we feel. And there's absolutely nothing nutritious about soda. So sure, there's room for small amounts, but if it's a big part of what you take in every day, it can make a big difference in the way you feel.
All right, not sure if you know much about this, or maybe you do, because I'd love to get your insight, but what's a good way to get caffeine that's not necessarily in what is my weakest part of my life, a Diet Mountain Dew? I love the I love the caffeine early in the morning, but what's a way to get around that?
Well, caffeine is one of those things that we can wean ourselves from and not need as much, possibly. So drinking, if you have coffee, drinking half decaf, is a way to decrease your
Jackie,
caffeine
you know,
intake.
you're talking to somebody when we wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to come to work. I mean, that's like telling a doctor and a nurse to not have caffeine and they work the overnights, right?
But it's a habit, and it's a
Yes.
habit that can be changed.
Okay.
With time.
All right, let's talk about some of these ways to achieve weight loss goals. You said already, making a commitment to yourself, change your current eating habits, focus on a goal of eating healthy, not necessarily of weight loss. We talked about that. Evaluate your diet. What do you tell the people? What does that mean, evaluating your diet?
Well, we can always look to resources that says, this is what you should eat for breakfast, this is what you should eat for dinner. But if it's so far from what you normally do, it's not going to last. You can do that for a little while, but it's not going to hold up in the long run. So evaluating where your pitfalls are. What is it that you do that you can make some changes that will make a difference in both eating healthy and decreasing your calorie intake? There are all kinds of resources for doing that. ChooseMyPlate.gov is a good website to go to for some ideas on eating healthy. A registered dietitian might be a good idea to give you some help if you're not able to pinpoint your exact problem areas.
All right. We're also telling people to write down the changes that you intend to make, because basically if you see it in writing, you're likely to kind of remember it every day. You're kind of reminded by it. Practice, 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 and be accountable to yourself. How important are those last two?
Very important. I run into people all the time that said, you know, I do great until my coworker brings in donuts or cookies. I do great until that bowl of candy is sitting out there in front of me. And I say, well, you have to have a plan and you have to practice. We can't always just say, no, I can't have it, no, I can't have it, no, I can't have it. But we can say, okay, I know there's probably going to be something that happens during my day that's not the best thing for me, but I'm going to allow myself a little bit. One piece of candy, one little bite of something.
All right, 30 seconds left here. Ready? Some people say eating healthy is too expensive. I don't have a budget to eat healthy. That's why I choose to eat fast food. And usually fast food stuff is cheap.
Well, I disagree wholeheartedly. Shopping for groceries, having things on hand, I think you'll find that you spend a lot less money than going out to eat all of the time. Getting used to preparing your foods is also a good part of eating healthy.
And do what I do once in a while, and I need to get in better habit of it, is cooking a prepared meal at the beginning of the week, and something that can last 3 days, and then I can just nuke it, or I can just eat it again,
exactly.
You know, and eat the portion. So I'm not having to cook every night. So when I do go home, I do have something there. Jackie Oleski from Piedmont Hospital, we appreciate your time this morning and some great tips as well. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. Thanks.
All right. When we come back, more to talk about this morning. Another goal many of you have made was to get your finances in order. Ways to become financially stable in the coming year. That story coming up. If you are suffering from a holiday spending hangover, the new year brings an opportunity to get your finances back on track, starting with paying down your credit card debt. The average American cardholder is going to be carrying about $5,400 in outstanding credit card debt into 2012. Some experts recommend paying twice the amount of your monthly minimum payment, but if you don't have that much cash on hand, even just a few extra dollars can help. But paying off your credit card debt isn't the only financial goal you can achieve this year. Debbie Montgomery is a certified financial planner. She's here in Atlanta. Debbie, thank you for joining us this morning. Listen, the holidays are over. A lot of us put those gifts on the credit cards. What's the number one piece of advice you tell the person out there, listen, I'm trying to cut down on my credit card bill this year? What's the number one piece of advice you tell them?
Track your spending. And if you track your spending, you'll find extra dollars to put to the principal on your credit cards.
All right. If you're meeting with a new client, what is something that typically people are spending on stuff that they don't really need? Is there a trend that you see with your clients?
Most people spend money going out to eat.
And that is expensive.
That is expensive.
That can be expensive. And what's your recommendations of getting around that?
Just keeping score of what you're doing. Anything that's important, you keep score. And if you track your expenses on a weekly basis by keeping your receipts and going through your receipts and seeing where your money's going, you can make adjustments to your spending habits so that you can go to movies, you can go out to dinner, but perhaps you spend less or you go out less often.
Okay. So, you know, looking at the credit card statement, we all have credit cards, we get the credit card statement, and it says the minimum monthly payment due is like, let's say $200, right? So if that's your if that's the minimum that the credit card's making you pay, $200 a month, what would you advise your client to do? Is that the $200 just the interest, or does the bank actually have you paying more than just the interest?
Many times it's just the interest, and your principal is continuing to earn interest, so you're not paying down your balance at all.
You're not at all. So when you get that monthly minimum, that's not going towards your balance?
Usually there's not a lot going to your principal. You really have to double up on your payments if you can.
Okay. And what's some other advice you tell people if they are trying to pay down their credit card? Something about investory, personal assets, and debt.
Inventory. Inventory your assets and your debt, and go through your budget, your expenses. You've got fixed expenses, you've got variable expenses, and once you determine how much of your budget's going to things like mortgage payment or rent and utilities and the necessities, then you can go to the variable expenses, and that's where usually you lose your budget. But it's keeping score of your spending by tracking it. And then you can start to improve. As the year goes by, you can continue to improve. And you know, you may only be able to make that $200 payment, but then the following month you may be able to do the $230. And then the next month it'll be $250. So setting goals and trying to determine at what point in the year you're going to pay down that card by so much. So if you have a $5,000 credit card, you want to say by July it's going to be $2,500.
Got it. And those are reasonable goals that I think a lot of people can make as long as you plan for them. If somebody does have a large credit card bill and they have a credit card debt, is there a way to maybe transfer that debt to another card to pay a less amount of interest, let's say, on the card that you have now?
Right. Transferring your balances to a lower interest rate card can help you if you have determined that you're going to pay more on that card, which will go to your principal. Then you'll have less interest accumulation. So if it's a $200 payment that you're able to make on the higher interest rate card, that money will go to pay down the principal on a lower interest rate card. But at some point, those rates will go up. So you have to be determined to pay it off.
So when you transfer that balance onto another card, usually when you do that, they give you a certain amount of time to pay off the total amount, correct?
The offers will only last for so many months or maybe a year.
So that they look at your balance that you currently owe in your credit card, and before they buy that debt, basically is what they're doing. They're buying it, right? They're paying off whatever other credit card you have, and then you owe them the money, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So that they look at whatever amount you owe, and they say, all right, we'll give you a year to pay this amount off. This is what it's going to be per month in order for you to pay it off. But if you don't pay it off by the end of that time allotted time, is probably where they really get you.
Right. Then the rates go up again. So we'll give you an opportunity to pay on principal with less interest. And if you seize that time and you pay on the principal, increase your payments, then the debt will be eliminated.
Well, what typically is that rate of interest when you go to a new card? If somebody buys your debt and then you pay off your debt, what are you looking at there? Because if you have a credit card and you're paying interest of 12 to 20% somewhere in there on your credit card, what does that, by able to transfer that balance, you know where I'm going with this, what percentage are you then going to give me?
Well, different credit card companies have different offers. Some of them will, give you some free interest for a certain period of time, and then they'll raise it up. But some of them are in the single digits for a period of time before they raise it.
So you could save a significant amount of money.
You could save significant interest every month that you could be going towards your principal instead of paying on the interest on a higher rate card.
Wow, that is some really good advice for a lot of people. To be listening to, and again, you say track and stick to a budget or a spending plan and allow for flexibility to adjust. When you say allow for flexibility to adjust, what do you mean by that?
Well, your goals may change during the course of the year, and some emergencies may come up. So financial planners always stress the savings piece of the pie, and the savings is the emergency funds, contingencies that come up with your home, maintenance, issues with your automobile.
Well, we see these commercials all the time, and they say, we'll help you with your credit card debt, just call us and we'll help you. Are a lot of those, you need to read the fine print?
People should be very careful before they enter into those kinds of agreements.
Got it. And what are some good ones out there that people may know about? Are there some good ones? Let's say I have a Bank of America credit card and my interest is too high and I have a high credit card bill and I want to go to somebody else so I can pay more on my principal rather than my interest. Where are some of the options that I have?
Well, the banks usually offer.
Go to another bank.
Go to another bank and go online. Sometimes there's some online services, but you just really want to check the offers that they have and how long you're going to be able to pay at lower rates before the rates will eventually go up.
Okay. Very good, Debbie Montgomery. I really appreciate your time with us this morning because we just did pass the holidays and a lot of people out there do have a lot of credit card bills to be paying off. All right, thank you very much. When we come back, are you looking for a job? A local career coach is here to talk about what you need to do right now to find the job you want and how to achieve your career and education goals in the new year. And good morning. Welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. This morning we're taking a look at what you need to do now to make this as a very successful year 2012 for you. We have already talked about nutrition and fitness and financial health. Our next guest is here to talk to us more about how to accomplish your career and educational goals. Hallie Crawford is the founder of Create Your Career Path, based here in Atlanta. She joins us this morning. Hallie, good morning to you.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, you know what? The unemployment numbers here in Atlanta, they've actually started to go down, which is some great news for a lot of people out there because Metro Atlanta and Georgia has been hit really hard over the past couple of years. So it's good to see those numbers starting to go down. But what do you tell people? What's the number one thing you tell people out there right now, for those who are watching, that they need to do to just find work this year?
Yeah, I know it's tough, and there's a little bit of hope, which is good with those new numbers. The first thing that I tell people they need to do is get out of desperation mode. I know that it's so hard and it can be easier said than done, but you can take all the action that you want. But if you don't have that right foundation of attitude and not feeling desperate about your work, you're not going to come across as well. Desperation doesn't work well in interviews or networking events or anything like that. So the number one thing you need to do, even if it's been a long time for you, is get out of that desperation mode.
Okay, making very specific career goals. How do we go about doing that? If somebody that doesn't have a job, right, they need to make career goals, what do you tell them to do?
Well, you need to have a plan. You need to have a weekly schedule and a plan for what you're going to do every week and even every day so that you're achieving certain measurable goals. And one of the things, the first thing I tell people is create this plan and expand your search if you need to. So when you're creating your plan, decide what's my ideal career direction? What am I going for? So you have a specific goal. But then I also say have 2 other possible ideas that are related to that one, just in case you need to expand your search a little bit more and you don't find right away that ideal path.
Okay, this is the one I love the most. Network, network, network. I am telling you, it works. It's that old saying, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I've been able to hook some of my friends up with jobs, and I've had friends who have hooked their friends up with jobs just by people you know.
Yes. And we hear it all the time, and I think it gets old, but the stats still show that most people get jobs through the hidden job market. It's between 70 to 80% of people. The people that find jobs, it's through that hidden job market, and that's who they know. It's through recruiters, it's through placement agencies. So even though you've heard it before, that's the way you find a job. So you have to be on LinkedIn, absolutely. That's not an option anymore. You have to have the right keywords in your profile so that recruiters or employers can find you. Employers and recruiters are reporting that up to 80% of their networking or recruiting efforts are through LinkedIn. They're going on there and trying to find employees that way.
It's incredible because you know what? A lot of people will sit there and say, hey, you know what? I filled out a job application at this store. I filled out a job application here. Or, listen, even our own website, even CBS Atlanta's, you go online, it says, oh, yeah, they're looking for a reporter. Okay, yeah, they're looking for a news technician. I'll just fill in my application and just send it in and see how it goes and wait to hear back.
It goes into the black hole.
It goes into a black hole and you likely never hear from anybody.
Yep. So you need to, what I tell people with networking, and so many people don't know about this, it's so interesting to me, is the concept of informational interviews. And I want people during the course of a week to have a goal of conducting at least 2 informational interviews with people that they either know or can find in their industry. And all they're doing is asking them for information. You're not calling them to say, hey, give me a job, but that's a new contact that you've made. And they may pass along your resume to HR or the right person. So informational interviews are critical. Conduct at least 2 per week.
And it also allows people to know that, hey, this person's really interested in this job, rather than somebody that's just saying, hey, here's my resume, pass it to the person you know. I like that.
Yeah.
And go for what you really want. The job market is getting better, but realize it takes work and time.
Yeah, so here's the thing with this. It's hard because I want people to find a job that they love and have their ideal career. But that can take time and effort, and we can't always get it right away. So I call it, sometimes people need to get a bridge job to kind of pay the bills for a little while until they get that ideal job. But if you play small, you're going to get small. And so I tell people, don't compromise at the beginning. Sure, if you have to get something to take care of your bills, that's fine. But you can volunteer on the side. You can take classes to move towards your ideal career. So don't give up on it, because if you compromise right away, you're going to end up with something that's not great. So I say go for the gold.
All right, so basically don't settle.
Exactly. No reason to. You don't have to.
Now, you've seen the latest job numbers. You looking at them in a positive way? You think that this is a good sign to the road to recovery?
I think it is. I think it's going to be slow. And so part of this New Year's resolution thing is I want people to be realistic about their goals, because so many set these high goals and then they don't achieve them and then they get bummed out. You know, nothing happens. So you need to be realistic about it, but I do think things are getting better. I can't say that they're going to go back to where they were before. I mean, the economy has changed dramatically, but it is better and it's going to continue to do so. And if you just keep networking and talking with people, that's how you can find a job.
I know, and there are a lot of network parties out there. There are people who throw network parties
Right.
in Metro Atlanta. I get
Yeah.
invitations, these network parties and all this stuff. And for those who are unemployed, I've heard people going to those, you know, they all start around 5 o'clock in the evening, go till 7, they're cocktail hours.
Yeah.
But just getting to know somebody and seeing them in person and even outside of an office in an interview room, a lot of deals are made that way.
I know it happens. And I tell people too, the networking parties are helpful, or job fairs, that kind of thing. But you need to also go to places where people are employed. Correct. Association meetings, industry conferences, whatever it is, and network there as well, because those are the people that are employed that could get you a job too.
All right. Hallie Crawford, the founder of Create Your Career Path. Hallie, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. That'll do it for this week's edition of Public Affairs on Peach. We'll see you back here next Sunday morning. Happy 2012, everyone. Have a great weekend.